Okay, so we are on YouTube, and I'm in the Hamilton Public Library, and I'm talking to Robert from Australia. Okay, Robert, go ahead with your question. I only have about 20 minutes, 25 maybe. So go ahead with your question.
Last time we talked, you were in the middle of the sentence. You were saying that your take on teleology, was it, or Descartes, his argument for God? Well, I want to know what you think.
Right. First, let me say that when I went back and listened to the recording, I realized that I was totally not really talking about what you were talking about. So it was like a new topic.
What's teleology?
Teleology. You know the argument from intelligent design?
Oh, right, that's it. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I
like
know that.
specifically by the Paley version of it, not the newer arguments about an attempt to be a kind of alternative to evolution, but the original argument, which is just an argument for the existence of God, basically. That's teleology. Teleology, basically. That's
Um,
the basic idea.
Thomas Aquinas.
What about Aquinas?
His arguments are the teleological argument.
Yeah, he has some kind of version of it, but I'm not actually familiar with the Aquinas. Like I've
Oh,
heard. Yeah, go on.
he wrote 5 arguments. They're very similar. They're very similar. They're very short, so you can just read them. Like the main one was like, well, he talked about a prime mover. You might have heard that. He says, anyway, the main one is just everything that exists needs a creator, and then he goes on, and then he says, and God is the creator, and God was not created. He's the first creator, or something like that.
Right. This was what
I don't know if
reminds me of
that's.
the.
I don't know if that's.
This reminds me of the argument from First Cause, which maybe is a similar kind of argument.
Yeah, that's it. The argument from first cause. That's Thomas Aquinas. Um, I don't know if that has much to do with intelligent design, but anyway, tell me what you think about the teleological arguments. Anyway,
Well, what I was getting at, and I guess it's kind of complicated and convoluted.
that's right.
I never really accepted the argument from intelligent design. I never thought it worked. I'm talking about Paley's version of it. And so, um, have you heard the analogy to the watch in the desert? You ever heard that argument?
Yeah, remember I wrote an article with the Watchmaker is the name of the title of the article. In the,
Correct.
you know,
And that's actually Dawkins. Dawkins' book is also talking about the same subject.
his first
The
book.
blind watchmaker.
Oh, that's the name of the book, Blind Watchmaker. I've read The God Delusion, but I haven't read The Watchmaker.
Yes. Okay. So,
Yeah, well, Dawkins talks about evolution, man. He can't stop talking about it.
yeah,
Evolution has nothing to do with any of it.
I know it's.
May I have your attention, please?
I'm in the
The
library. You can
library
hear
will
the
be
speakers.
closing in half an hour.
Yeah, in half an hour.
Yeah, that's right.
Are
Okay.
you in Canada? Are you in Toronto, Vancouver?
I'm near Toronto, outside of Toronto.
Oh yeah.
So, basically, the analogy to the watchmaker is that if you found a watch in the desert, you would you would
Yeah,
assume it had
I know
a
it.
maker. Yeah, I'm saying it for just for the audience.
Okay, for the audience, yeah.
For the audience. So,
Yeah.
you would assume you had a maker, and so you look at the world and you see the same similar kinds of complexity, and so you assume it has a maker. So that's how that argument goes. And okay, so I never found that argument very convincing, but
Yeah.
there is
Exactly.
a kind of modern modern version of it, which is like if you had people, okay, you have human beings, um, they must be special, right? Or something like that. And even though it's kind of a strange argument, it actually, to me, has something to it. It's kind of some people call
The
this
intelligent design argument.
well, not it's sort of a modern version of it. I'm what I'm referring to is
Yeah,
called the anthropic principle. You heard of that?
yeah, I am familiar with the anthropic principle.
Right. So it to me is much more difficult to really undermine. It's not you can't simplistically undermine like design argument. You can attack the analogy directly, but these modern versions are not so easy. And there's another version. There's another idea where you start talking about simulated universes. You've read any Nick Bostrom? Nick Bostrom.
No,
I don't
no.
even know if I'm saying his name correctly, but a Swedish um, he's a Swedish philosophy professor, and at Oxford actually, and he wrote an article called "The Simulation Argument," and his
Yeah, I've read. Actually, yeah, I have read that article, and
okay.
it's quite. I didn't like it, but anyway, to continue.
Well, it's he even says he made a video clarifying his own position, and he said that people should understand that I'm saying that a simulated universe, is less than 50%. In other words, it's more
Yeah,
unlikely.
but I mean, actually, I shouldn't keep interrupting you with my opinion. I'll let you finish your
No,
what
go
you
ahead.
were
Say
saying.
it. Say it. Say it.
Well, you know, if the universe was created in some way or has some particular nature, I mean, you can take the Matrix as an example.
Right.
So, I mean, in any way, in any situation,
Yeah.
it is going to be of that form no matter what. The universe is simulated in God's head or wherever.
Right.
You know, I mean, whether it's by the nature of the Matrix or whether it's by the nature of God's thoughts or whatever, when he started, or the way that he creates universes. What I'm saying is not really very clear right now, but
But
I'm saying that
actually, what you are saying touches exactly on what I'm trying to say, which is that when you think of simulation, when you think of the simulation argument and simulated universes, it is another kind of teleology or slash design. Because if, of course, if the world is a simulation, it means it's artificial. It means it was created by somebody, and it's not actually. It's much harder to knock down something like that. I mean, I of course also have it coming from a philosophy background, think in terms of knocking things down, right? And this is an argument that is just harder to knock down because it's just more convoluted and more. It's more
which one is it?
root
Which one?
simulate the idea that
The
our
anthropic.
universe is
Oh, the idea of the simulation thing.
just an
Yeah, but I mean,
idea.
like,
Yeah, go on.
okay, so in the article he talks about some beings creating the universe inside a computer as a simulation, but it's like, I mean, those beings, I mean, they might have come from God originally anyway, you know? So it's like,
Well, because we don't have a
so
lot
that
of
means that we
time.
came from God as well, but not
Right,
directly, right? So
right.
the simulation is completely irrelevant. The fact that there is a simulation is irrelevant, or would be, yeah, anyway. It's just silly to even think about it. But yeah,
Well, the reason I find it interesting is because you're looking at it from the perspective of the people inside the ant farm, right? We're in the ant farm looking out, and we're trying to decide if we're in a created universe or if it's a naturalistic universe. If I don't even like that
Yeah.
dichotomy, but just for the sake of argument, I'm throwing it out there because, of course, we could talk about why that dichotomy is a false one. But just for the sake of argument, that the idea that you're in a simulation would mean it's created, and it's from the perspective of the people looking out, as opposed to the overall mechanic or model of the universe that we're thinking of, right? That's why I find it
Yeah.
interesting.
I got a couple of ideas on it.
Yes, go ahead.
It's quite complicated though, isn't it? Like it's hard to talk about it in a few minutes.
I know. That's why
Um,
I was gonna. I mean, if when we have a longer time to talk, I think I could I could go over the basic idea of Bostrom's version of the simulation argument. There's actually other people now, of course, because he kind of did the first version, and there's other reformulations of it. But one thing I'll just mention quick is that as we become more able to do the kind of simulation that we're talking about, a simulation where there are conscious beings in the simulation. So
sentient beings.
I would say conscious, or would I? Yeah, I would say conscious.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know what sentient. That's what Deepak Chopra says all the time. Sentient.
Right. Sentient could be. I've never. It's a kind of a vague term, right? Sentient is a vague term.
I don't even know what it means. I just assume it means conscious.
Isn't my cat sentient?
Yeah, well, fair enough. So
So, in fact, my cat's pretty intelligent too, and conscious.
So you've got so you're saying like in our world right now we're trying to create this simulation of a universe just to show ourselves that it can be done, or show, is that what you're saying? Is that what we're doing? Or
no, what I'm saying is as we become more able to create these kind of simulations that have conscious beings, so we're getting better and better at making games.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right?
That's just what I'm asking.
Games.
So we are trying to create.
But what the point is that as we become more closer to that point where we can make those simulations, the argument is it's more likely we are in a simulation. It's because the conditions of Bostrom's argument get closer to being met.
We honestly, and there's plenty of things to say, but I can say one thing, which is that we don't know the material of consciousness. We don't know the currency of consciousness. We don't understand where it comes from exactly. So, I mean, how are we going to create a being that is conscious? We don't know which part of the brain consciousness comes from. And I will posit, I will make a prediction that we will never be able to do that. We will never be able to create a being that is conscious.
Yeah, I think that's
except by having sexual intercourse.
Yeah, right. I think that's a valid argument, but I'll mention one alternative besides intercourse to creating beings, and that is we could possibly do some kind of a scan of a brain, some kind of scan, and now the entire pattern is in a computer, and somehow you have a consciousness in a computer through advanced scanning. But the thing about that is we still wouldn't understand it. We still wouldn't actually. We might not even know if it were conscious or not. Maybe we'd have to make some kind of bet based on probability. What do you think about that?
Wait, what was the last bit? You said we scan the brain
using some kind of
to find out where consciousness comes from.
So we already have we already have an MRI, right? We already have a brain scanning process. So the idea is, this was actually an argument that when I was back in university, we talked about back in the early 90s. So the idea is you do some kind of advanced scan of the brain. You got all the synapses, everything. The whole pattern is in the computer now. And now you run some kind of model that makes the brain function within the computer. So you have some kind of consciousness in a computer, but you don't necessarily understand how it works. So it's not like building consciousness from scratch. It's more like
So we're not.
copying an existing one.
We won't be using carbon-based material. We're
It would be
using a
perhaps silicone-based material.
silicone-based life form,
Silicone-based life form, yes.
and that will simulate consciousness
Because it's just
just because it with
because you've just
sorry what?
you've copied a human brain. You've copied it.
But what exactly are you going to copy to put in the computer? Are you going to copy?
I guess you copy breathing and the body, and maybe you copy everything around. Maybe you just take a really good picture of the environment around the brain. It would be like a brain in a vat, right?
Brain in a vat. That's
Yes.
familiar.
So
Yeah, the movie Her. She discusses. Scarlett Johansson talks about a brain in a vat, and she says, "Imagine you just got your body one day. You'd say, what are all these dangling parts around me?" And she says, "What if your anus was under your armpit?" And she draws a picture of it.
Right.
And I think I like it because it's like when we die or go to heaven, we'll be in spirit form. We'll lose our body, and we will be that way, you know. Or we might get a different body. Anyway, it's a crazy movie. Like falling in love with the computer is a bit weird, isn't it?
What was the name of the movie? I've
It's
heard
called
about this.
Her, just Her.
It's just a
Yeah.
recent one, right?
I mean,
this is 2014.
yeah. So the computer is exactly what you say. The computer learns, and it is like a human trapped in a computer, and
Right.
it is very like in the end, like because the guy is in love with the computer, and the computer says that she's in love with him too.
Right.
They have this relationship, but then the computer is so smart, like it reads books in 1/5 of a second,
Right.
and so at the end, the computer all of a sudden has become so powerful that it no longer really wants to have the relationship anymore. But the computer lets the guy down easy,
Right.
but you can understand what I mean. Like, yeah. So I mean, I'm just telling you what happens in the movie, but I don't know why I brought that particular
Well, actually,
aspect of
it's
it up.
because it's a recent movie. I heard another discussion about it, and I want to see that one, but I haven't yet, so I can't
Yeah.
actually.
If
Um,
you can look past the
yeah.
if you can look past the loneliness and craziness of a man trying to have sex with a computer and
Right.
open your mind to think about the ideas behind, and I mean it might be this in the future, and we were just even talking about this right now, so I mean it might
Right.
be this way sooner, like computers could learn, and that's what this movie is about. It's about the computer, the operating system, which
Right.
acts like a human. It wants to know things, and it feels, and it 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 tries to hide things as well, like a selfish human and shit like
Sure.
that.
Right. Now, so
Yeah.
I guess getting back to the argument, because my time is going to be up soon. Um,
Yep. Yep.
what is the possibility of all of this? And is there any argument that just plain says that it isn't possible? Is it just is the amount of information you need to write such a program so large that it's not possible?
Oh yeah. Oh, we're talking about creating a universe here, man. It's like the universe is massive. Even the Earth. Yeah. But I
Well,
mean, you could
we're
program
in
it.
one.
There's a fixed number of elements.
Well, we're in one.
Yeah. I suppose. And all right, you better get going or something.
Attention, please. The library will be closing in 15 minutes.
But I can't sit here for 15.
In 15 minutes.
I can't sit here for 15 now.
No, okay. All right. Well, it's great to talk to you. I want to do this again very soon.
Yeah. Okay. So it was nice talking to you. So that was is it Rob from
Rob, yeah.
Australia? and we just did a quick.
What's your first name?
I'm Garvin, but I'm Maple
How do you
Leaf
spell it?
on
Garmin.
Garvin. I'm Maple Leaf on
Garvin.
freechess.org. So,
Yeah.
so we just did
And
a quick and brutal summary of teleology. We hardly talked about it, but it was still pretty. I still think we got the basics actually pretty quickly there.
but, can you only use a computer in the library, or you have one at home, or?
Well, basically, I have internet at home, but it's just my cell phone.
Okay, all right. Anyway, so when can we talk again? Tomorrow morning, my time.
Well, I'll have to discuss that with you on the server. Tomorrow's
Yeah, right.
busier than normal day for me.
Oh yeah, and I'm going to see Eminem tomorrow night, man. I love him.
Okay, well, good. Have fun with that.
Yeah,
So,
I can't talk to you later then, right? See you later.
okay, I'm signing off the live show. Those are our two viewers. Thanks for joining us.